Mercedes Colwin, Fox News legal analyst. Leo Terrell, Fox News contributor and attorney. Leo, I'll begin with you and your initial reaction just learning the charges against Hollywood actor Alec Baldwin.
Well, you know, I sent some talking points to you, and I said that one of the biggest mistakes Alec Baldwin made was to go on a George Stephanopoulos program and said he didn't pull the trigger. That was a lie. FBI evidence, and I guarantee you that's going to come back to haunt him, Harris, and I'm not surprised. And the charge against the armorer, that makes sense because they had an affirmative duty to inspect that gun. Their failure to inspect that gun is the reason why their conduct rise to a level beyond simple negligence, Harris.
And Mercedes, in all of this, I had mentioned that there was a civil case already that was won against Alec Baldwin. How does that play a role in any of this, or maybe it doesn't?
Well, it settled, thankfully, for Alec Baldwin, so we don't have any sworn testimony. But it's exactly right to Leo's point. If there had been sworn testimony, you have Alec Baldwin saying, I didn't pull the trigger. All you have are several commentary that he made in the public airways when he was being interviewed, but he's not under oath. So he could certainly sort of fudge that a little bit if he actually takes a stand. And we know that in the past, when these high-profile individuals, when these celebrities take the stand, even when they're facing criminal charges, they actually get exonerated. They don't get convicted. I'm not surprised that this came down and that he has charges. At the end of the day, an individual died. And at the hands of Alec Baldwin, who had the gun. I can't imagine. It was obviously a very difficult decision for the prosecutor. There was showed a lot of remorse by Alec Baldwin. We saw him crying. The family was supportive of Alec Baldwin. Everyone turned around and said this was a very tragic accident. But the prosecutor said, what you did was criminally negligent, and it resulted in the death of a person. End of story.
You know, Leo, we're getting now a better look at this, so I'm going to read some of what I've got in front of me. The armorer is named in this. The district attorney has filed criminal charges in Rust shooting. Producer Alec Baldwin and the armorer facing involuntary manslaughter charges in death of Helena Hutchinson. I want to just specifically talk about the role of that other employee on set, because that person had complained through their attorneys that they were given too many responsibilities, that they were also in charge of like props and other things. But the armorer, by the very name, armor, plays a huge role, enough to get named in charges here.
Harris, forget what the attorney said on her behalf. The armorer is responsible. I want people to understand that. Is responsible for the weapons on a movie set. She cannot escape that responsibility. She is the ultimate responsible person for the collection and the handling of weapons. So her affirmative duty is sky high. And don't be surprised if there is a shooting match, I hate to use that term, between her and Baldwin as to who had the ultimate responsibility. But if one was charged, both of them had to be charged. But the armorer has that ultimate responsibility, Harris.
All right, real quickly, Hannah Gutierrez-Reed is the armorer who's being charged with 2 counts of involuntary manslaughter in the death of Helena Hutchins, along with actor-producer Alec Baldwin. Real quickly, we're going to go back to our reporter, and I'll come back to you two to pick up more information. But we're all digging into this. If you do not have the detail I'm looking at, I'll have my team send it to both of you. Let's go back to Matt Finn now. Matt, as we look at this, we were just talking about the second person who is named in all of this. What new information do you have?
Well, Harris, it's also worth noting that the assistant director, David Hall, signed a plea agreement for the charge of negligent use of a deadly weapon. So that's a third person involved here. And both Baldwin and Hannah Gutierrez-Reed charged with involuntary manslaughter. That is punishable by up to 18 months in jail in the state of New Mexico. The prosecutor writes in part in the decision, quote, if David Halls, Alec Baldwin, or Hannah Gutierrez-Reed had done their job, Helena Hutchins would be alive today. It is that simple, end quote. Harris.
All right, Matt, thank you very much. Continuing to get information in via you. So we'll just come back to you as the news warrants. Mercedes Colwin, Leo Terrell are legal experts with me today. So one thing that stands out is you start to kind of dig into this, Leo and Mercedes, is in fact there were complaints of not enough money for getting the job done on this set. Why is that important now? I mean, this has nothing to do with the civil case. That was about money too. with the family suing of the victims. But what about this? What about this idea that, well, they couldn't get their jobs done because they didn't have enough cash?
Right. Well, that's a great point. But that what happens with something like that is saying, of course they were negligent. I mean, this is almost proof positive that the standard fell below what is acceptable. So if you don't have enough cash and you don't have the standards in place in order to ensure the safety and protection of those involved in the movie, that's where criminal negligence comes in. And there's the mens rea. You were on notice, Alec Baldwin, Gutierrez Reed, and David Halls. Interesting that he did a plea deal. Whenever you want to discuss that, Harris, that's critically important. That was this back channel communications. Not surprising, Halls may step forward as a witness if this continues down the process of some sort of jury trial. But when you have that type of evidence, you're ultimately, the prosecutor said, you were already, all of you are on notice that there was below standards and taking place, and yet you still didn't take the extra care to make sure that something like this didn't happen.
Supported today mightily by FoxNews.com, our digital team has done some great digging along the way here in the 15 months it has been since this happened. And some of the things that we learned just along the lines of what we were talking about, Mercedes, there was a notice sent to that named Baldwin specifically in a request for emergency funding to prosecute the case as well. So this is for prosecution. The DA explained that she anticipated prosecuting up to 4 individuals, including Baldwin at the time. Talk to me, Leo, about how a case like this pulls together and how you narrow it down.
Well, I'll tell you, Mercedes pointed out the fact that one of the individual, David Hall, has accepted a plea deal. He accepted a criminal responsibility. And so I guarantee you that is a major piece of news, because that indicates to the district attorney that they have a criminal case. And the fact that David, was one of the 2 other individuals who handled that gun, expect him to be a monumental witness in his acknowledgement of his failures in handling the responsibility of the protocol that was responsible when you're handling a gun. And I guarantee you that is the single piece of big evidence being announced today, the plea deal.
So Matthew Hutchins is the husband of Helena Hutchins, and part of what the family, and we may never know all of the details, and probably shouldn't in these cases. They usually aren't released in terms of the monetary remuneration. But one of the things that Matthew Hutchins wanted was to be an executive producer on the film as it goes forward. And so he's been named that. I'm wondering what that does. Are we looking at a situation where Hollywood could actually bend and start to do things differently? Because somebody handed Alec Baldwin what they called a cold gun. And Gutierrez Reed, who now faces involuntary manslaughter charges, spun it. She made sure that there were no bullets in the chamber. So either people were really bad at their jobs, or, maybe it's not an either, maybe it's an or. What culpability does Alec Baldwin hold, though? Don't you check the gun yourself?
That's such a great point, especially when you're talking about the magnitude of what could happen if it is a live gun and a bullet's in that chamber. And we know from the FBI forensics that there's no conceivable way this particular gun could have discharged involuntarily, as it's been expressed by Mr. Baldwin in airwaves. So, yes. And everyone's going to question that. You're a smart man. You're a rich man. You have lots of children. You have this lovely life. Why wouldn't you, knowing that Ms. Hutchins is a mom of a 6-year-old, I believe he was 6 at the time, why wouldn't you check the gun? I mean, that's what's going to resonate with that jury. And especially, as Leo said, especially if you have David Halls coming forward and saying, hey, you know, I felt responsible. I am criminally responsible for what took place. This is such damning evidence. It can all fall upon Alec Baldwin's shoulders. And frankly, there's so much finger pointing. There's all these civil lawsuits all over the place with Alec Baldwin suing Gutierrez and Halls, all of that.
Leo, go ahead.
Harris, one quick point. I want to make sure everyone understands this. Everyone handling that gun had an affirmative obligation to inspect the gun. Oh. Everyone, no exception. It wasn't like just because it was being pointed. Everyone who touched that gun had an affirmative obligation to look inside that gun. And by the way, all the civil settlements with the family, None of that is admissible in the criminal case, has nothing to do with the prosecution, won't be admitted.
And that makes sense because some of Fox News Digital's earlier reporting naming that you know, with Baldwin's name in it, that they were going to need emergency funding just to prosecute the case because it was ticking up to 4 individuals to take a look at, including Baldwin. I mean, when you know that that's the case, that makes sense that everybody who had possibly touched that gun would have to be looked at. I just know that as a gun owner myself, that you check it. Like that you just check it. It doesn't matter if your mom handed it to you. It could be somebody that you completely, but you always, I mean, I grew up in a household with a warrior. That's what you do. Yeah. But not everybody is taught that. It apparently has nothing to do with how responsible and culpable you are on a movie set, though, what you think you know and what you don't know.
Exactly.
Mercedes?
Well, exactly.
No, very true. I mean, that's and I think it really goes down to most jurors sitting in that jury box. If it actually goes to jury, there might be plea deals. Especially, there's going to be so much pressure to close this down. Who wants to take the stand? Who wants to relive the horrors of this, knowing what's at risk and knowing that this is the lowest felony that could be charged in this type of case? It's not murder. You know, sometimes prosecutors overcharge a case. This is not overcharged at all. No. This is one of the lowest felonies regarding the death of an individual. The prosecutors did it right. They didn't overcharge. It is such a broad standard, and you're expressing exactly what the jury would be thinking. Exactly what they would be thinking there, Harris. They're going to think, how could you not have checked this gun? And how could Gutierrez not check this gun? And how could Halls have not checked this gun? Well, we already know Halls is a potential witness who's going to say, mea culpa, I didn't check the gun, so I was criminally responsible for it. Therefore, that's why it pled out.
And we know that
all of these
I'll tell you something.
And we know that Gutierrez Reed, at least,
for the other two.
Yeah, at least from Gutierrez Reed, we know that it's been reported that she spun the cylinder to show Halls what was in the gun. That's according to her lawyer, Leo.
I'll tell you one thing, Harris. I'm already running down the football field. If I'm picking a jury, I want gun owners who are gun owners on that jury because they know gun safety. So I'm thinking already down the line, I want gun owners on that jury pool.
Real quickly, you mentioned, Mercedes, this is the lowest felony regarding death. And I think you say that because they have a good chance then of getting where they need to be here and getting a guilty verdict on this. But you also said something else, that maybe it won't go to trial.
I honestly, mercifully, these two, Alec Baldwin, Gutierrez Reed, should really sit down with their lawyers and contemplate just pleading out. Why put the family through this? You know that you're going to have Mr. Hutchins, the widower, sitting there, might have the child sitting there, rehash all of this stuff, all the witnesses coming forward. You know, we already know that many individuals, not many, but several individuals walked off the set because they felt that the safety protocols were not in place and they felt there was unsafe. So you're going to have a whole parade of individuals saying how terrible the circumstances were. Honestly, if I were Mr. Baldwin or Ms. Reed's attorney, I would really stress to them the ability to just plead this out and let this go.
Can I give a counter to that?
Yes, go ahead.
Quick counter?
Sure.
Very quickly, John Landis, Twilight Zone actor Vic Morrow was killed. He was charged with an involuntary manslaughter. He fought that and got acquitted. If Alec Baldwin wants to stay in Hollywood, he's going to fight these charges.
Oh, interesting. What does he face if he loses?
Oh,
yes,
well, first of all, he's a felon.
Hold on one second. Go ahead, Leo.
Go ahead, please. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, Leo,
I mean, he has every incentive. He has every incentive to fight these charges. Every incentive.
Mercedes, what happens if he loses?
Well, if he loses, it's up to 18 months in jail and a few $1,000 fine. I think it's $5,000 in fines. But I think we're in a society now that accepting accountability actually and going through a path of redemption will probably speak much better for Mr. Baldwin than fighting this and say it had nothing to do with it. And then resurrecting the statements that he made that I didn't even pull the trigger when you know you're going to have forensics that are going to say that's actually impossible and you're lying, Mr. Baldwin.
We have
the
some more.
prosecutor's going to have a field day with him.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.